Seated in one of the tables of this exotic restaurant on a Friday night, Tonia took a look at her date Banky, whom she had accompanied to a business dinner. She had met Banky a month ago at a mall and recently found out he was a big shot. When Banky had invited her to accompany him to a dinner with his business associates, he told her to wear something red, and she did. As she sipped her wine, she felt grateful for meeting him. Banky seemed like a great guy, often sending her romantic text messages since they met at the mall. As she began to eat her meal, Banky would occasionally place his hands on her thighs just to remind her he was there with her. At past midnight, the dinner had come to an end, and they were back on the road. She had come to know Banky as a reckless driver the few times he had taken her out for a sit-out in a bar. But tonight, he was even more reckless than ever, as he drove in full speed on the Third Mainland Bridge, puffing on a cigar with hardcore rap music blaring from the stereo. In less than 15 minutes, they arrived at his residence. They were greeted by an angry parrot squawking in his cage as they entered the living room. Banky fetched a cold bottle of champagne and they both drank while watching television. Soon, they retired to his bedroom for the night. As they laid in his bed under the warmth of the duvet, Banky asked if he could kiss her, and Tonia obliged. He planted a long kiss on her lips and gently placed her right hands on his groin. Things became intense as they had their hands exploring each other's body. "Stop, Banky, slow down," Tonia said, breaking the flow. Banky ignored her as he continued with the foreplay. Tonia sat up and this time spoke with more assertiveness. Reluctantly, Banky rolled over to the side of his bed and went to sleep. The next morning, as he drove her home, Banky asked if they could spend some time on the eve of Sunday, and she loved the idea. Tonia spent the rest of her Saturday reminiscing about the night before and how he had set her soul on fire. She wondered what it would have been like to fully indulge in their desires. Later that evening, she sent a message to him, and for what seemed like an eternity, she waited the rest of the night for a response from him, but got none. Tonia woke up the next morning to the sound of her alarm. She checked her phone notification. Still no word from Banky. She then sent a brief message checking on his well-being. He must be busy, she said to herself, as she tried to put the thoughts of Banky at the back of her mind, but deep within her she began to feel these feelings of abandonment, and it hurted her deeply. After 2 days of unanswered calls and messages, she decided to move on. She had gradually eased back to her regular routine of being a remote digital marketer. As she worked, she poured herself a glass of wine, dancing to her favorite song, Water by Tyler, and shared it on her Instagram. To her surprise, Banky reacted with an emoji. She sighed as she tossed her phone on the other side of her couch and returned back to work. Later that night, Banky chatted her up. "Hi, milady, how are you doing?" he asked in his usual charm. Tonia ignored his message and went to bed. He is in the past and should remain there. The next day, Banky showed up at her home unannounced. She came out and saw him parked at the corner of her street. Then she walked over and joined him in his car. Banky went on to tell her how much he had missed her and how he had been busy these past few days. They drove to the nearest lounge and soon they were having a good time, talking and enjoying the cool ambience of the night. Tonia realized how she had missed Banky so much and how happy she was to have him back. She wanted him to stay and never leave her. She was in love and the thought pleased her. That night they went to his home and Tonia was glad to be back there. As soon as they got inside, Banky led her to the room and started making sexual advances. He wasn't patient as he was the other time, but this time around, she didn't hold back. It came to an end quickly. Banky got up from his bed and told her he would be back shortly. She went on to use the bathroom and then returned to know Banky. He must be busy, she thought to herself. Alone in the darkness, she heard him speaking on the phone. She waited for an extra 15 minutes and decided to join him in the sitting room. As she approached in the dark, she heard him talk as though he was speaking to a child on the phone. "Did mommy get you your favorite ice cream?" he asked. "Okay, baby." He blew a kiss to the child on the other end of the line. "Give mommy back the phone. Daddy wants to blow kisses to mommy too." Tonya stood frozen as she heard him speak to his family. She felt the blood drain from her brain, and a sudden cold came upon her. Banky was married, and not just married, he was married with a child.